I personally thank Mr. Chakrabani and his team from SIPS and Commissioner Collegiate Education for giving us an opportunity to present Akshaya before you. So with that, within 40 minutes, I try to cover 3 areas. What's Akshaya and what is its business model? Then how we made illiteracy in Kerala. Then third, service delivery, government service delivery through CSCs. CSCs is nothing but Akshaya centers in Kerala. Okay, as you know, Kerala is as I have said, God's own country. All are welcome to visit. As you all know, we already reached the level of life expectancy. When birth rate, we are comparing not with the other Indian states. We are comparing it with the developed countries like America or like European countries. We achieved our literacy in 1990. That is 100% literacy in 90. Just before the average literacy rate of Asia. Okay. With that in mind, our leaders in Kerala educating our people about computer. That's in 1992. So with that, Government of Kerala started a project to remove the digital divide among the people. As you all know, the rich people or the 10% of the trust people already have all these facilities at their home office or wherever they go. But rest 80 to 85% citizen of the country does not have computer connectivity or they don't know what is computer. So in 1992, Government of Kerala started the project Akshaya to educate at least one member from each family. That was our objective. So with that objective in mind, we started our Akshaya, launched our Akshaya by our Honorable President, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam in 1992. So even though we started, later on by 2006, we added one more to our vision statement, proactive citizen service. I come later. That's Akshaya vision statement. It's gateway to opportunities. There is no limit for the opportunities, the services to be rolled out through Akshaya now. Now we completed our illiteracy. Then now it's almost 90 to 95% illiterate state is Kerala now. So we started Akshaya as a business model. It's a PPP model. As you all know, PPP means public-private partnership. So we have got a state office, state designated agency like IT Mission. It's a part of government. Then under IT Mission, state channelizing agencies, state Akshaya project is there. Under Akshaya project, we have got offices in all districts. As you know, Kerala is a very small state. We have got only 14 districts. Then each district we have got an Akshaya state office, district office with handful of 10 to 12 staff. The officer in charge will be deputed from any department for the particular district. So with this structure and structure functioning for the Akshaya model, the selection is based on the minimum qualification required for to become a Akshaya entrepreneur is pre-degree or plus 2 education. So after conducting a survey, we decided how many numbers of Akshaya centers to be started in Kerala throughout the state, and every Grama Panchayat used to have, based on the population, minimum 2 and the maximum of. Then selection of these Akshaya entrepreneurs is basically done by a clear-cut guideline. That is the catch. Whenever we launch a program, basically the politicians will come and nominate. please nominate this person, please nominate this person, party man. So even though the ruling party at the time, the present UDF government, they formulated a selection procedure consists of 100 marks. 30 marks for basic qualification, like minimum education is pre-degree, and if he is having a diploma or professional qualification, he will get additional mark. Then if he is a female, an additional 5% mark is there. Altogether, the total mark will be limited to, then if he is from the particular native of that place, he will get additional mark. So 30 mark for the basic qualification and the infrastructure, then rest 40 marks is for online test. Online test is basically for little computer knowledge, then entrepreneurship skill, how to run a business and how to run it profitably. That is for 30 marks. Then rest 30 marks for interview. Interview board is constituted with the help of Grama Panchayat President as chairman, secretary as the secretary, then block Panchayat member, a political nominee is there, then district Panchayat member will be there, then Akshaya representative will be there. So 30 marks for selecting for the interview. After this process, the rank list will be published in the concerned Panchayat and in the district collectorate also. That is, if anybody has gone the selection procedure, they can give an appeal. Then there is an appeal committee with the collector as chairman and planning district planning officer as secretary. They will look into the complaint, and if there is any substance, they will redo all the process completely. So, with that, for an each individual to start an Akshaya entrepreneur, he needs 40 square meter of area, then internet connectivity, printer, scanner, laptop, basic things he need to purchase himself. He at least to invest around 2 to 2.5 lakh from his pocket. There is no other support from the government. He has to start all things by himself. Then he should teach at least one member from each family to how to use internet, how to use the computer, and the basic things regarding the computer education. That's all. So in groups, people will come to his Akshaya center, then do the computer course. For that, it's for minimum 20 hours of study and practice in computer. That's all. So with that, next. Okay. With that, we have by 2008 we have almost completed our e-literacy program in all families, because by 2008 government started another program called IT at School, whereby the school students will be taught in the school itself regarding all the things, how to use computer, and everything will be taught in the lower classes itself. So we stopped our e-literacy program. Next slide. Our target was to educate 65 lakh families, but with 35 lakh we stopped that process, because by the time we almost reached saturation, that so that any at least one member from a family know how to use the computer and all. One thing you know, in Kerala, more than 30 lakh people are working outside, in Gulf countries and other countries. So people want to contact them through internet, and they are using it regularly. So instead of going to cafe, they can come to a nearby Akshaya center, because in every village you will find a Akshaya center. So then lot of other learning programs are like e-learning. Next, e-Vidya is specifically designed for school children. Then Indian Learn program. Through this program, we have trained more than 1 lakh students. That's years back. Then e-Vidya next. Other learning programs like Force, Insight. Then DO courses are there. Then we taught Kudumbasri. It's a poorest of the among poorest people are there, like Kudumbasri. There's an organization to eradicate poverty in Kerala. We educated them how to use computer, and then by that we stopped our e-literacy programs. By the advent of e-governance at national level, by 2008 we were not in a situation to go further, because earlier there was a grant for educating one person from a family, government will give 130 rupees to a particular Akshaya entrepreneur. So, with the completion of e-literacy, it becomes a very difficult task for the Akshaya entrepreneurs to run this organization. Luckily for us, by that time, 2006, national government started e-governance program nationally. So, as you all know, the 4 pillars of e-governance are common service centers at the grassroots level, connectivity, then data center, and the final stage is service delivery gateway. So we have got connectivity is covered in Kerala, then we have got data center also. So the national government said you can go for CSC either by, you can call private companies and ask them to start CSCs throughout the state. Or the government can run CSCs. We will give a grant to run the CSC because during the initial stages, it will not be a profitable affair for the particular entrepreneur. Because in order to become the CSCs to be profitable, more and more government services to be delivered through the common service center. So at that time, the government took a decision. We will, in Kerala, we will convert all the existing Akshaya centers into CSCs. That was a major decision. Whereas, if you look at in your state, the CSCs running in Andhra Pradesh is by 3 agencies or private companies. In all other states, in Haryana it's run by 3 in Fatak, in Orissa it's Sri, then in West Bengal, at the time the ruling party in Kerala and West Bengal was LDF. So in West Bengal, they have given the CSCs to private agency called Sri Sahaj. So luckily for us, because of that decision, we converted our CSCs to Akshaya. But it always happened in the case of Kerala, we completed our e-literacy program, literacy, then there is no grant to the state government. So as per government now, we need to start only one CSC for 6 villages. So we need to start only 221 CSCs in Kerala. But we have got more than 2,300 plus Akshaya centers in Kerala. So we requested DIT to give grant because they give grant 3,000 per month to each CSCs. Then they said, no, you have already started CSC. Then what is the need for grant? So without any grant, we are running the show. So evolving Akshaya into CSC is on. Next. We started with the state government. As a part of e-governance, state government started Spark as a repository to the state government officials because they can make their pay bill through the online system. But unfortunately, none of more than 40% of our state offices were not connected. And so government took a decision, concerned officers can go to the nearest Akshaya centers and they can process their bill online. Moreover, we trained the government employees, the Akshaya entrepreneurs trained the government employees how to use the computer and how to use their Spark system and how to how to generate their salary bill and all. So government, for one entry, government give 15 rupees to the Akshaya entrepreneur from the government exchequer. Next. Then again, as a part of e-governance, state government wanted to roll out commercial taxes e-governance program. In Kerala, we have got more than 1,60,000 traders, registered traders in the state. So then Dr. Thomas Isaac was the finance minister then. He called all the traders, then said we are going to implement e-governance in commercial taxes. So you should all cooperate. You have to file everything online. Then traders said, no sir. Sorry, we are happy to cooperate with you. We don't have any computer system. We are not connected. So please, at this time you cannot start. As and when we are all connected by net, you can run your e-governance system. So Thomas Isaac had a discussion with our director. Then we had a discussion. Then our director said, no problem sir. Ask the traders to come and file their returns online through Akshaya centers. For that, you give 25 rupees as a remuneration to our Akshaya center. Now, as on today, our commercial tax system is one of the best in the country. Moreover, it is easy for the employees, easy for the traders, easy for the common citizen, and it's for the government also, and the revenue increased many folds. The rate of increase in revenue is 25 to 30% for the last 3 years. So last year, government introduced digital signature to all the traders. That too with a little cost. Because normally there are 3 types of digital signatures available in the nation. Class 1, class 2, class 3. Class 2 is required to file income tax, and the traders also need this class 2 digital signature. It costs around, in the market, it costs around 1,800 rupees. But in Kerala, through Akshaya, we are providing digital signature to all the traders for 310 rupees. Because it is easy, traders can come to the Akshaya office, they can file online for the digital signature, they have to give the document, then within 3 to 4 days, we will deliver the soft token to the concerned trader. So in addition to the trader need to pay 310 rupees, but Akshaya entrepreneur will get 50 rupees from eMudra. That is the agency we are collaborating with for its digital signature. There are only 9 agencies in country doing digital signature. So in that way, okay. Then other payments also there are. The citizen can pay electricity bill, university bill payment, any payment under the government organization. It can be done through Akshaya now, because we have developed a free software so that the concerned really need to pay in advance. We have to, just like taking mobile card, we have to pay in a prepaid mode. So the VLEs has to take prepaid card from the government so that he can make payment. He can make payment. So such a way it's functioning very well. Next month onwards, we have already made a tie-up with the NSDL to have an online payment gateway to our VLEs. Then this is the another challenging program we successfully done in Kerala. As you all know, RSBY scheme. I hope you all know that scheme. Rashtriya Swayam Bima Yojana. It's an insurance scheme for the BPL families. Sponsored by central government. Central government will pay 550 rupees for each individual. So, as per that scheme, there are around 28 lakh families eligible for BPL registration, that RSBY scheme in Kerala. The government gave that insurance to United India. But United India in turn, for the enrollment and giving smart card, they have again entrusted the work to TPA, third party agencies like MedServ, MedIndia, like so many companies are there in all India level. They came to Kerala, so they started enrolling these 28 lakh families. So with the little knowledge of Hindi and little knowledge of this attitude of Kerala people and all, they worked around for 2.5 months. They could hardly register below 1 lakh family members in the RSBY scheme. So again, government had a discussion with our Akshaya director. Then Akshaya director said, okay, we will try. So we gave training to all our Akshaya entrepreneurs. Then we trained basically what is RSBY. Who are all the stakeholders coming under RSBY? Then what to do, how to register, and everything we give clear training to our Akshaya entrepreneurs. And within 1 month, we could complete the registration of 27 lakh people all over the country. So last year, when the government wanted to change the 34-bit into 64-bit smart card, naturally they came to Akshaya, the work come to entrusted with Akshaya. Then within 30 days, we could complete all the registration process of 35 lakh people in Kerala. So that much of enormous networking is there in Kerala with the help of Akshaya. Then another thing, actually this is done by Labor Department. It's a scheme run by Labor Department. If you ask anybody in the Labor Department, they don't know what is this scheme. So for anything happen to a poor person, he will naturally with this card, actually it is called Chia card, they are now calling it as Akshaya card. They will come to nearest Akshaya center, then they will ask what to do. So they will clearly direct to which hospital they should go and which hospital they should not go, and like that it became a liability for the insurance company for the first time in the history of India. Whereas in all other states, insurance company was in profit, except in Kerala, there were around 100 crore rupees was the loss. Because that is the proactive citizen service. When the small, poorest of the poor person come to the Akshaya center, they will educate them. Whereas, as you know, I am also a government official. When somebody come to our office, we will try to look other way or next to this way and try to avoid them. So, lot of changes we made through this program. Then, by implementing this program, we ourselves became aware of our capacity. Government became aware of the capacity of Akshaya and the people also. So, later on, for APL also done by us. Then a lot of endogramming portal is there. Then labor portal is there. Those who want to can come to our portal and register. Government will give us 10 rupees for each registration. In the case of RSBY, government will give us 12 rupees for each registration. Next. Now the ration card is online. People can come to Akshaya Center, apply for online. It's very easy. Then NRK Welfare Fund, there is a contribution from the citizen for their welfare fund. They can come to Akshaya Center and straight away do the transaction. Then it's another scheme. It's an All India scheme. Aam Aadmi Bima Yojana. It's a scheme for landless people and people having minimum 5 cents of land. As per government records, in Kerala there are only less than 2 lakh landless citizens in Kerala state. So again they started with the registering, they could not, they handed over the scheme to Akshaya. Then with proactive citizen service, within a short span of 25 days, we have registered more than 3 lakh people in. There is not a single person in Kerala not registering this scheme, because this scheme gives privilege to scholarship to 9th standard to 10th standard students at the rate of 100 rupees per month. Then moreover, if anything happened to that particular citizen, there is an insurance coverage of 35,000 rupees. So for the citizen, it is free of cost. For registration activities, government will pay rupees 10 per each registration. Then online Kerala entrance examination. Every year, 3.5 lakh people, students will write entrance exam. Normally, entrance commissioner need to send admit card postally, registered by registered post. It costs around 50 plus, speed post 50 plus, administration charge comes around 70 rupees for that organization. You have an agreement with them. Why you unnecessarily spend money? Instead of you just send a press release. Citizen can come to the nearest Akshaya and take their admit card free of cost. You need to give Akshaya only 10 rupees. So last 2 years we successfully run this program. Then instead of 70 rupees into 3.5 lakh, only 10 rupees they need to spend for that program. But this year they have said we need no need of help of Akshaya. Now people know the procedure. We will not be paying anything to Akshaya. So they announced, you can download yourself from internet, or if you want, you can go to the nearest Akshaya. They have to pay from their pocket 10 rupees to Akshaya. So it's a lot of opportunities coming for the government of Kerala, because we have developed a common service network throughout our state. Then last time Agriculture department want to get the details of farmers. Naturally, we are the only choice. Farmers can come to Akshaya Center and do their registration. It's very simple. Then, with regards to the school teachers and the professors, e-grants is another good e-governance we implemented in Kerala. After getting the admission in any school, student can simply come to Akshaya Center, register online, to which college he got selection, and simply do that registration free of cost. Education department will give 25 rupees to each Akshaya for each registration. Then later on by workload will go to the concerned principal or the headmistress, verify it. Automatically when the workload go to SCSC department or OBC department, they click. Earlier it took, after entering in the school in the July, usually students get the scholarship by the end of March only. Now within 30 months, they will get their money in their account by a click of a button from the state office. Likewise, we are transferring 200 crores of rupees through e-grant scheme. Then e-governance services, we have already started. It's a pilot project started in 40 districts all over India. 2 districts selected over in Kerala, that's Palakkad and Kannur. Because we have got the network. Then Revenue Department 23 services, now we can apply anywhere from Kerala. If I am from Trivandrum, if I am in northern part of the Kerala, go to the nearest Akshaya Center, I can apply online for 23 revenue certificates, including caste certificate, community, everything. You will get a message. Then if by the time you get the approval message to your mobile, if you are in Thrissur, go to the nearest Akshaya Center, you can take the printout. That too, digitally signed signature certificates we are providing. There won't be any official signature there. We are providing all the certificates in with the using digital signature. We trained, Akshaya people trained the village officers in Kerala how to use digital signature, how to use the computer, how to use the network connectivity. Everything was done by the Akshaya entrepreneurs. Then UID enrollment. All of the state UID enrollment is done by private parties. There is a lot of money behind it. Because for each registration, UID of India will give 50 rupees to the particular agency. In Andhra, the population is 15 crores. 15 crores into 50 rupees. It's a lot of money. So in Kerala we decided we will do the Aadhaar enrollment. So we selected 750 entrepreneurs who are ready to invest around 1.5 lakh rupees for this program. They have invested, they have bought computer laptop, then scanning iris machine and some biometric scanning machines, and we have done the program successfully. And we competed with the CMM level 4 and 5 companies like Wipro, 3, 4G and like that, and the quality of our biometric was far above from them, more than 90%. So we made lot of money to the government. Actually, every year the state government gave us a grant as 4 crores. We used to get more than 10 crores last year by providing services through Akshaya. Because if you enroll one person in GR, Akshaya entrepreneur will get 3 rupees. But in addition to that, Akshaya state office will get 1 rupee. So if you register 35 lakh people, you get 35 lakh rupees. If you register the 2.86 crores of UID, out of 50 rupees, we transfer only 35 rupees to the Akshaya entrepreneurs. Rest 15 rupees with the state government. It's a lot of money. So now the major challenge is this is 2,300 plus all individuals. To train them, to motivate them, to provide, to interact with citizens in a better manner, that's the challenge. So we are planning to conduct training for these Akshaya entrepreneurs out of the money they have generated. Next. Then, like e-business is there, this is a major outcome. Yes. Okay, yeah, one stop all citizen service, that more than 75% generated 15,000 employment opportunities. Then more than 55% of our Akshaya entrepreneurs are women. So next, this is our USP. USP, unique selling proposition. Networking throughout. 80% in rural areas. Next, priority citizen service. Actually, in order to get a death benefit, when a citizen went to a labor office, then they will inquire about ABI. What is the? They doesn't know what is ABI actually. The designated agency to run the lab is the labor department. Persons in the labor department doesn't know what is ABI. Aam Aadmi Bima Yojana scheme, they don't know. So it was an Herculean task for us to give all the materials and all the details and make them aware of the existing ongoing government scheme to the employees. Then the flexibility of timing is there. The Akshaya centers need to open only 8 hours. We can choose the time actually according to needs of this area. Then next, corporate face with government face with corporate card. As you all know, for getting a ration card, if you go to a taluk office, there will be only one taluk supply officer. So people have to wait. Whereas if in order to deliver a particular service, we can hire 1 or 2 for a particular day and fire also. So many of our Akshaya entrepreneurs now made more than 40 to 45,000 per month their income. Whereas many allied persons like many entrepreneurs like I know one in Kovala, only for the CHIAC program, he registered 12,000 person in a particular month. His income is more than 1 lakh. Next. So win-win situation. Government, citizen, to the government, to the entrepreneur. Then another thing, the social change is what's going to happen is if you are entrusting this work to a multinational company, the insurance scheme, naturally the whole crores of rupees will go to his pocket. Last year we Akshaya got more than 6 crores from government. So we distribute this money to 2,000 plus Akshaya entrepreneurs all over the state. Naturally this money will percolate to our society only. So that is also there. Right. Now we have got many future plans. We have telemedicine, then business correspondence, that's Aadhaar enabled business correspondence. Now it's the RBI want to include everybody in the financial system. So meaningful financial literacy is there. So many of our Akshaya centers is working as financial literacy centers. So the bank will support us per month as a grant of 3,000 rupees per month for Akshaya entrepreneur. We will put a board stating that this is an e-literacy center of particular bank. Then another thing is that micro ATMs, you all know. In Andhra Pradesh, we have already distributed 140 PDS through micro ATM. I had an opportunity to interact with Raymond Peter sir and other senior officers last week, and I was in Hyderabad. So you are running that program well in Hyderabad, but using Aadhaar enabled platform through the PDS. So people can come to Akshaya, they can make any payment through any bank, because the bank does not want poor people in their office. If you are having 1 lakh rupee and all, they will welcome. If you want to deposit 50 rupees, you have to wait. Or please go to some other bank. That's the no. So instead of that, the citizen can come to Akshaya, they can transfer their money. If they give the 500 rupees in cash, the Akshaya entrepreneur will transfer from his account to his bank account 500 rupees, and he can withdraw the money also using the Aadhaar enabled micro ATM. That's going to come. That's all in a short span of time I try to cover. And because limiting my time also. Any question? Any regard?
We have Miseva, sir. No questions.
So Naushad, congratulations to you for your wonderful presentation and for the farsightedness of your state government. perhaps no, I am at least as excited as you are in your presentation. How do you ensure the fraud-free management of all these Akshaya centers? Fraud-free. All of us, in India are known for this kind of thing, and in our Me Seva centers here, we have instances of so many frauds. How do you ensure the reliability of your Akshaya entrepreneurs?
Okay, that's a very good question. Actually, now we are facing such problems in Kerala because we started delivering more and more government service. A lot of people are coming to Akshaya centers and they themselves feel that they have become babus. So that's a challenge for us. So for that we have already enacted one, we have already released one government order stating that if the Akshaya district office or the district collector find anybody fault with charging more or doing not delivering good service to citizen, he will be charged a fine of 5,000 rupees. He can be charged up to 5,000. Then another thing, if any complaint received from public, we can right away control. Sitting in my office in Trivandrum, I can block his service. That's possible. So there is a mechanism to resolve the complaints. If that particular Akshaya entrepreneur is not happy with delivering the service to citizen, that Grama Panchayat committee can take decision. They will take a resolution in the committee and send to us. Please stop the activities of that particular person and we will select another person. So such a thing is there.
Can I just intervene? See, fraud comes if there are monopolies. Wherever there are monopolies, frauds will surface. The job of all of us as principals or as administrators would be to decentralize information, put them in public domain to the extent that you can. You have portals of each one of your institutions. You tell the citizen which lecturer is teaching what subject. What is the performance of the students taught by him during the last 5 years, put it in public domain. Similarly, you tell the students that he can apply for his fee online. He can get lessons online. For that, lot of services need to be rolled out through the portals of various departments. And these portals, the information contained in the portals can also be accessed through laptops. Mr. Naushad, I perceive the common service centers to be a transition. Once you start rolling out information, services, delivery through the portals accessed by the citizen right at his home, all fraud will disappear. Like you are able to buy the railway reservation ticket from your home. That's, I think, the biggest change which has taken place in one of the widest of departments or networks.
Yeah.
So our effort in the next 10 years should be to roll out all services, including education, through the portals. Enable the citizen to get it at home. Dismantle the physical spaces occupied by institutions. Dismantle the monopolies which are now perpetrated in the name of whatever you call it. In fact, I have said that there is no need for an assembly also to meet and fight every day. They can discuss through the video conferencing. Carry on your instruction or abuse through whatever you want to do, sitting at home. Judicial proceedings can be conducted through the video conferencing method. We have conducted a video conference on the video conferencing in judicial proceedings. So dismantle the physical spaces. I think that should be the lesson. Mr. Naushad may not agree.
Already we agree. Yeah, we already started that the MVD portal is open to public.
Right. See, the answer is fraud comes in if there is a monopoly. When you dismantle the monopolies, dismantle the political structure, dismantle the administrative structure, dismantle the tyranny of the judicial power, fraud will disappear. So kindly appreciate as educators, what is the role of educational administrators over a period of time in looking at the technology. I am not saying technology will provide solutions for all. It has to be coupled with governance reforms as it happened in Kerala.
Just like Bharati.
It has to happen. Governance reforms also are necessary in addition to technology it changes. But I think as educators, as people who are facilitating the process of education in the young minds, we need to take this on board.
There is a provision in e-district also for the public to access, but at present it is not open. But as sir said, definitely it is going to open. And in our perspective is also very clear. Within a span of 2 to 3 years, we will find some other area for the entrepreneurs, because we cannot sustain with the government service only. Later on, more and more services we can have. Now we have started insurance scheme. Yeah, anybody can come to the Akshaya Center and they can raise. That's a big business. Actually, there are a lot of opportunities in the C2C, B2C service. Business persons are coming to our office and please add our service also to your portal. So, other than e-governance, for e-governance we act as a facilitators. Then later on, as I said, all the different channels should be available to the public. Ultimately, our aim is to deliver things to the common people at an affordable cost, at a satisfactory level, higher level.
Right now, Akshaya entrepreneurs are also acting as business correspondents, or is your future plan?
No, already started. Yeah, Union Bank of India already selected 230 members. Then South Indian Bank selected 17% as FLC. Then Canara Bank is already ready. Then actually we want to do the business with State Bank of Travancore, because they have got the maximum branches in Kerala, but they are hesitant because it's like bureaucrat, it's like official, you know. So they are waiting for some more time.
No, Mr. Naushad, maybe due to their failure in SBI, there is a failure.
Right.
Business correspondent is a failure system in.
Exactly. Right.
Maybe that could be one of the reasons.
Right. You are right, sir. They have got some experience in other states. Then moreover, in the Kerala also, the penetrated banking is almost everywhere in Kerala. Almost everybody is having account also. But the poor person to transact with the bank is very difficult thing. If you go to the State Bank of Travancore and you have to keep there waiting for minimum 1 hour to remit 100 rupees or 200 rupees. Take lot of time. So it's going to come. We have already had negotiation with the bank and made agreement with the 1 or 2 banks also. Going to implement. Then UID will give us that around 1,000 micro ATM free of cost at a subsidized rate. Then we said we don't want any free subsidy like that. We will charge the Akshaya entrepreneurs. No free meal. We will charge them. Those who are interested need to apply for micro ATMs. So it's a paid service only to the Akshaya entrepreneurs. No, nothing. Only this year last Onam, government gave them 1,000 rupees as Onam festival allowance. That's the one-time grant they have got for the last 4 or 5 years. Thank you for the question.
Let me introduce myself. I am A. Gopinath, Administrative Officer in CIPS, Center for Innovations in Public Systems. The next on our panel is a very distinguished speaker, Dr. R. Balasubramaniam. I request him to occupy the dais. After getting his degree in medicine, he earned his MPhil from the Birla Institute of Technology and Sciences, Pilani. He also has a master's in public administration from Harvard University. At the young age of 19, he founded the Swami Vivekananda Youth Movement, a development institution engaged in a grassroots approach to improvements in sectors such as health, education, and community development. In the past 28 years, he has worked as a social activist in the service delivery sector. He has over 26 years of experience in organization development and systems change initiatives in public policy in India. He has worked as a special investigator and vigilance director for the Karnataka Lokayukta, an anti-corruption agency of the state. He investigated corruption cases in health and education sectors and at institutional corruption within the public delivery systems. He also has a public administration degree from the Harvard University. He is a Mason Fellow of the Harvard University and Mid-Career Fellow at the Hauser Center for Non-Profits. He is currently the Frank Rose Professor at Cornell University, USA, and is also an adjunct professor of international programs in the University of Iowa, USA. He was also the former professor and head of the Vivekananda Chair, University of Mysore. So, distinguished participants, you will have a very nice session from Dr. Balasubramaniam. Sir, I request you, sir, to take a presentation.
Good evening, all of you. I know last session of the day is a challenge for the speaker and for me. I hope to keep it entertaining enough. And I'm not going to speak here. I'm going to come down. The Chakrapani and friends. Can you switch that off? Normally I don't make PowerPoint. So hopefully I'll make a powerful presentation and try to snatch the mic from Mr. Chakrapani and Hansel. My last investigation of Lokayukta was on the public distribution system. Karnataka has a dubious distinction of having a population of 1.2 crore families, but we have managed to distribute 1.6 crore ration cards. With biometrics, with fingerprint, with everything. That is the beauty of corruption. So there's a saying in Kannada, I'm sure there'll be a saying in Telugu. In Kannada it goes like this: if you think you're intelligent and go under the chape, others will go under the rangoli. That's the kind of intelligence people have. So I believe the more we discover mechanisms to make things more transparent, the more the mechanisms become opaque. That's my view. We managed to keep it that way. And it's beautiful, because I always felt that if suppose I'm a poor man and you give me 30 kgs of rice like what Karnataka is planning to give from last month, if I don't get the rice, I fight. So the people in the government thought, why we have a problem? Let's give this 1.2 crore people cards, but we will create 40 lakh more families and distribute 30 kg rice per month to this invisible 40 lakh families, and nobody will fight us now. And that's the beauty of Indian corruption. $16,000 billion in this country leaks every year. And I think the only solution in my view, after having been a vigilance director of the Lokayukta Santosh Hegde for 5 years, having had the dubious distinction of my conviction rate being 0%, I have produced one of the finest reports in the Lokayukta in the government of Karnataka. Nothing will ever be enforced. We all know that. Including a mining scam, nothing will be enforced. But despite all that, so what is the solution? I've always been thinking about it. What is the solution for this country? And I believe the only solution is leadership. And not just leadership, it's value-based leadership. If India can ever be called poor today, I don't think poverty can be measured in economic terms as what stupidly a planning commission has tried to do and destroy the little credibility it had, in my view. But I think what we have is poverty of value-based leadership. And every sector, I don't even say it's just politicians or bureaucrats. I believe it's as much in the NGO sector, as much as in the education sector, as much in any other sector. It's a reflection of society that we have created for ourselves. But why talk to educationists? Why talk to education administrators? I started off as a physician, but my life changed a lot. I went away to the forests of Karnataka. I spent nearly 30 years with tribals, just forest indigenous tribals. Some of the best years of my life have been with them. And I thoroughly enjoyed my time with them. And I learned, you really want this? Hurting my eyes a lot. Thank you. I suppose all of you can see me. Even if you don't, if you hear me, it is enough. Most of my life's work has been in education. And I'll start off with 2 examples which changed my outlook to education itself. A very small tribal, and you'll ask me why these stories and then why leadership. This probably reflects the leadership I'm going to talk about. Very small tribal boy from the forest, from one particular tribe called Jenu Kurubas. They basically, Jenu in Kannada is honey, people who live off honey. These tribals never been to school. And you'll be surprised, they have 50,000 year anthropological history. And here I am from Bangalore, born and brought up in Bangalore, education in Mysore, going into this forest thinking, I'm going to give them education. They have survived 50,000 years. They must have had some form of education. But the arrogance of mainstream education makes us think we know more. That's exactly how I went. In the school I started for them, the small child was suddenly missing one afternoon. And it's in the forest, remember. I live in an area where it is Project Tiger. Completely everywhere you have only tigers and leopards. And if a child is missing, what it means is the child has run away back home, because school is not an interesting place to be. So if you run away, they walk through the forest and they go home. So I had just gone to the school. I used to be half the time in the clinic, half the time in the school, half the time in the hospital. Those are they call it a clinic. I went to the hospital and I found all the teachers are very nervous. And they're all worried because this child is missing. Whole school campus, 18-acre campus, they're searching every nook and corner, they couldn't find the child. And they're worried because I used to be very demanding about children and their safety and all that. And the headmistress came to me very nervously, said, we took count in the morning, we looked in the lunch time, the child never came for lunch also. So we immediately called all our tribal friends, sent them in different routes, the child's home, just 20 kilometers away. Children walk. They all went into the forest searching for the child. Suddenly one teacher came running to me and said, we found the child. I was thrilled. Where did they find this child? This child, we had a steam generator in the campus, which would produce steam for cooking. That was to be kept outside the kitchen. So it was a very warm place. This child was sleeping there. They woke him up, I went there. And we had this, even those, I'm talking about 20-year-olds, so even those days I used to make sure that children were not beaten. So we had no textbooks in our schools, even now we have no textbooks. We do give education, we don't give information. So we have a very unique school, no textbooks, nothing. Children decide what they learn. And I have 100% results in the 10th standard board exam. That's the beauty of that school. This child, we woke him up and asked him, what were you doing? Very innocently, he said, I was sleeping. And the teachers are angry because whole morning they are searching for him. And they asked him, why were you, what happened? He said, I called him there, I said, why did you sleep? His name was a very small, tiny little Jainakurpa boy. Appiraj was his name, it's a local tribal name. He said, I came to school 3 months ago. From 3 months you have been giving me only vegetarian food. And I wanted to eat some meat. So what did this child do? This child goes, he chooses a tree. The gum, the resin which comes out from the bark is a known gum. He knows exactly how to use that gum, climbs up the tree, makes a nest, only Jainakurpas know how to make it, and puts it to catch birds. He catches only small birds because he knows big birds he can't catch. Brings it down. The steam generator, they feed the firewood, roast the bird, eats it, falls asleep. Now the child needs no schooling at all. Why do you train your children? We train our children to do exactly that. We do it more refinedly and sophisticatedly, and we say, go to Harvard, come back with a degree and you get the same salary. It's all for the salary, it's all for the feeding, etc. We don't really train the mind. And that child was a great leadership story for me. At 7, the child takes the leadership to recognize what he is capable of, draw upon the resource of tradition, climb up the tree physically, uses his physical well-being, understands clearly the dynamics and the physics of how much that gum can catch which bird, puts it in the right tree where only small birds come, not big birds come, brings that bird down, has the intelligence to know that steam generator is outside and they can eat there and go back to sleep. I think that's what education is all about. And finally, those are the kind of leaders we actually need to create. But in our own imagination, we think leadership is all about positions. And today I would like to give you a one hour. Somebody should indicate time to me. I may get lost. 1 hour ahead. If you are bored, tell me. Raise your hand, I will recognize it. You can continue to be bored, I will continue my talk. I'm going to talk for the next 45 minutes to 1 hour on very counterintuitive concepts. These are concepts which are known only for the last 30-35 years. I was privileged to be taught by an extraordinary mentor of mine at Harvard again. I teach with him, I co-teach the same course with him now. We have a place called the Kennedy School where we teach mostly people from the government, etc., from the IAS. Some of the IAS officers also get deputed there. This is called adaptive leadership. I have further refined it and I call it enlightened leadership mainly because I draw a lot from our Bhagavad Gita and Upanishads. I think they are extraordinary reservoirs of information and knowledge, especially for leadership. So a lot of my work comes from that. So I don't think anything is original here. I wouldn't like to make false claims. I draw a lot from all this. A lot of my work is also drawn from frontier research in neurosciences. Today, a lot of research is happening on the brain and how the brain functions. So much of my leadership work is drawn from the neurobiology research of the famous Dr. Ramachandran at San Diego University. He is an Indian. In India, normally we give the Padma Shri and Padma Bhushans after they get Nobel Prize. But there is one man whom the government of India last year gave the Padma Bhushan even before he got a Nobel Prize. So I think they are also learning, and they also decided to do it before the Nobel Prize committee did it. Extraordinary thinker and neuroscientist. His work and what he is discovering today, all that synthesized is what I call enlightened leadership. My book is nearly complete, so in a few months it should come out. So I will be talking only about that. Let me start now. I want to ask a very simple question. How many of you want to be leaders? Very simple question. Let's see the hands go up. For a change, teachers also must be asked questions. I have a big board in my school. As you enter, it says, teach your children not only to answer your questions, but to keep questioning your answers. I think we as teachers need to keep this in our mind all the time. We all love to ask questions and we like to brand children when they answer. But very rarely we like to have our answers questioned. I think that's possibly the beginning of leadership. So